got the Cadillac of Michael Cooper here on the front lane. Got his first pole position yesterday. The first pole for the Cadillac in 2016. Of course, Johnny O'Connell starts in the third place. He's your four-time and defending race champion for Pirelli World Challenge in that Velocity Red Cadillac ATS-V. The two Bentleys of Andrew Palmer and Adderley Fong from Absolute Racing. And a great qualifying starting in sixth place for Kyle Marcelli in the CRP Racing de Vilbis Audi R8 LMS. And Michael Lewis starts in fourth today in his effort racing the Smile Generation Porsche 911 GT3R. And to give our command today is going to be Rob Owen, the assistant parts manager of Porsche Motorsports North America. And Rob, tell us what you do here at the track for these Porsche teams.
I arrange the logistics for part support for the 911 GT3Rs and the 991 GT3 Cup cars.
So with this many cars in the Pirelli World Challenge, you're a busy man.
Very busy.
And hopefully the guys keep the cars underneath them so you don't really have that many parts going through, but I think the idea is to keep moving those parts to the truck.
Yeah, our number one goal is to keep the cars racing on the track.
Now, how many support do you have here, staff and trucks?
We have 2 support trucks with a full inventory for 4 model lines, and we have our full engineering staff taking care of the cars.
Now, you carry everything but maybe a tub for a car. Every other part is on the truck.
Everything for the car except for the tub. Yes, that's correct.
Tell you about the support that Porsche Motorsports North America gives to our Pirelli World Challenge competition here, and our competitors cannot have a better partner here for Pirelli World Challenge. Well, we're getting ready for that time. It's the Pirelli World Challenge at Barber Motorsports Park, presented by Porsche. 50-minute sprint race for our GT, GTA, and GT Cup competitors. And to give our command to start engines from Porsche Motorsports North America, the assistant parts manager, Rob Owen. So on behalf of Optima Battery, Pirelli Tires North America, and all the Porsche competitors, customers, fans of Porsche worldwide, to give our command, Rob Owen.
Drivers, start your engines.
Yes, early days in the season, but that doesn't mean they're not still very much concerned and considering points and that season championship run. There's a look at the number 20 of Sloan Urie. Interesting news from him, too. We talked about the wrist injury he's got, but he's treating it pretty spectacularly well, and we'll inform you on that. As always, you're eavesdropping on our coverage here, so it's time to build for CBS Sports. So as the field heads out, actually, we're going to be a minute here before we start building that CBS Sports Network show. You just saw Don Harple just ignite that Cadillac ATS-VR, one of the more spectacular moments of our race weekends here. There's a story there, too, the number 99, the Red Dragon, just nowhere in terms of fast lap in this race, buried in the field, and they had a problem that was ironically different than the other McLarens from K-Pac.
Well, yesterday morning in qualifying, everyone was complaining about an understeer condition in the car. So, I mean, I think a lot of the teams tuned on their race car to get rid of that. The racetrack changed, and suddenly John Fogarty in the Red Dragon found his car almost undrivable. The rear was just so loose on the high-speed stuff. So he was buried in the pack, and then he didn't have a good race car underneath him, and consequently he set the 20th fastest lap time in the race yesterday. He'll move up a spot today because Colin Thompson, after his damage to his McLaren, will not see the green flag today. So John Fogarty, a lot of work to do from the 19th grid spot. Did see the team last night. They changed the rear sway bar on the car just to find some rear grip in that number 99 machine.
And you had talked about, we were looking at the grid, that it surprised us that a few of the cars were able to set fast race laps late in the race.
Well, if you look at Perent's time that grabbed the pole and fastest lap of the race, that was set on lap 3. Michael Cooper set his fastest lap on lap 17. Adley Fong lap 24. So there's some of these cars that are really doing really well in terms of tire degradation and keeping the balance towards the end of the stint. And I think we saw that yesterday. I mean, Perent had a brilliant victory, his first on the road, second in a row with the penalty that O'Connell got at Long Beach. So certainly boosted him in points. But, you know, you've really got to have a good car underneath you at the end. And Perent said he was really hanging on for dear life towards the end of the race.
And once again, that getting to the front for Perent off of the start in 6th round was huge in terms of him being able to lead from the front and be able to manage that. And that means that Cooper, and they tweaked on that. They said they're going to tweak on it a little bit here, and he really would like to lead down into turn 1 and turn the tables a bit.
Absolutely, and I think talking to Michael last night, he said, you know, I kind of got caught out. There's some new starting rules in terms of when you're allowed to accelerate towards the green flag, and he said I basically got caught out there, and Perent got the jump on me, and then he did the same thing on the restart in terms of taking off. Michael was looking for the green flag, which kind of what the rule book states, but there's a bit of a gray area there when you come off that last corner. Essentially, guys are going to go, so they want to get the cars accelerating. They don't want that big stack up, so we end up in turn 1 here with cars all bunched together. So I think there's a little bit of clarification that the drivers are looking for there.
Yeah, you remember back in 2014 in turn 1, the entire Ford GTS paddock was eliminated. I mean, it could happen. Let's talk quick GTA. Monte Carlo, problems during the race, electronics issues, but he was able to get a very quick lap. He starts on pole. Fuentes right there. Mike Shine was ultra competitive. I mean, the victory margin was like 0.18.
Well, I think if you look at Fuentes, he's been dominant. He's won every race from the pole. This is the first pole position he has not had in terms of fastest lap for his class. But I think he's vulnerable here today. I think there's potential with Shine and certainly Monte Carlo's pace to maybe break that streak that he's on right now. I mean, Monte Carlo, he didn't see any action until qualifying yesterday. It was only 3 or 4 tenths off, straight out of the box. So that's an indicator that he's got good speed with that Mercedes.
All right, folks, we're going to pause here. We'll be right back with our CBS Sports Call. And the lights are out on the Cadillac ATSV pace car. We are about ready to go racing into that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone as soon as the Cadillac pulls off. And we talked about it. It is huge to get the start here, tough to pass. And also we're going to be watching a few rows back that number 31 Porsche and that Nissan number 33. All right, here we go. Perent onto the front straight and looking for it. The green flag is out, and we are racing for round 7. Perent has to go way to the inside, Cal, to defend on O'Connell. Does that open the door for Cooper?
Look at Davison down to the inside. There's contact there with Adley Fong. Davison into the side of that Bentley. The 2 Porsches get through cleanly.
Yeah, at least it wasn't a Porsche. But, boy, again, Davison being ultra aggressive here, Cal.
Cooper to the front. Cooper's made the move on Perent. And look at this. A strong battle here between Mike Lewis and Johnny O'Connell down into our Stock Tech break zone.
And O'Connell inside there. That might just do it and allow him to hang on to that 3rd spot. Looking a little bit further back in the pack. And it looks like Monte Carlo, indeed.
Look at the 2 Porsches side by side heading down into turn 7.
Tight quarters here, entering side by side, they give way.
Lewis hangs on. Pat Long, a man on a move right now. Up to the 5th position. But what a start for Michael Cooper, turning the tables on Alvaro Perent.
Boy, and Monte Carlo, by the way, in GTA, made that starting opportunity hold, and he is in front. Here comes now Fogarty trying to get in between them.
See there, that McLaren really eating a lot of the curb. Johnny O'Connell pretty wide through that turn there, so very different lines through that particular corner. Fogarty really putting the pressure on Fuentes. There's Cindric in the picture as well. That's tight there between. Fuentes is wide. He's in the gray. Fogarty goes through.
I think that's exactly why Fogarty was so anxious. He knew Cindric was right there, and Cindric got the nose underneath him, didn't he?
He really did.
And now that slowed Cindric up, and here comes the Acura contingent down to the inside. Ooh, close. Cunningham and Cindric, and wasn't a touch. That's as close as it gets, and Cunningham finally had to give way.
What a racetrack this is. It's a ribbon of asphalt, but look up front. Michael Cooper has taken off at the front of this field. He had pace here yesterday. He came alive on about lap 2 or 3, but it's much earlier today. Maybe those tweaks on the Cadillac are performing well here.
Well, they were adamant on doing it. There's Alec Udell, who looks to have once again checked out at the start here in GT Cup. Once again over Corey Fergus in that US LED Porsche. Then Sloan Urie, then Preston Calvert. And good to see Corey Fergus being so competitive after that huge hit at St. Pete. But right now, it is Mr. Udell controlling things at the front once again. He loved his car yesterday. Saw him at the end of the day yesterday. I said, I assume you're not touching it? He said, we're not touching a thing. Let's go back now, Cal, and take a look at their start.
Here they come. Alec Udell, he was dominant here yesterday, and just the perfect start here. It's difficult when you're on the outside of the front row because that third place runner, Sloan Urie, can tuck it to the inside. But Corey Fergus hung on there nicely.
And Udell, who came so close to getting his first wins here in GT Cup right here at Barber, ended up with 2 fighting second places, going for a sweep here perchance. And now we've got Andrew Palmer right there coming up on J.D. Davison, putting some pressure on. And Ryan Eversley now trying to find a way around Andrew Davis. But boy, you're right, Cooper settling in with a nice margin in the early going here. He really has been a revelation this year.
Well, the irony is that really Johnny O'Connell who said this is the boy we should get. He got introduced to him about 5-6 years ago. Since that time, Michael Cooper got to start racing. He's had a couple of Pirelli World Challenge Championships already to his name. And Cadillac did some testing with him, like what they saw. But boy, oh boy, what a season. But he wants that first victory. I spoke to him last night. He said, these points are great. I'm right in the mix of the championship, but I want a win. I said, just keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question of that. And there's a look at Austin Cindric as they come working through. And the guy that he's working on is that 99 Gainesco Red Dragon McLaren. That's John Fogarty, and he gets the Optima Batteries Best Start Award, up 5 spots in the opening lap. And that's got to be just a good feeling for him to know that he was able to make some passes. Hopefully the back end of that car is a little bit more planted for him.
Yeah, great effort by that team to even get the car here this weekend. They are burning the midnight oil to try and make that happen. And John Ward and the whole gang were there collectively last night just trying to figure out how can we make this car more competitive here today. John Fogarty has been so competitive here over the years. Couple of poles, couple of wins in Grand Am competition. He loves this racetrack, and he is basically scratching his head yesterday after seeing his fast lap of the race.
Boy, and Monte Calvo is in the lead in GTA, but more importantly, he's got those 2 McLarens between himself and Fuentes. Talking to the crew yesterday, and they said, other than that ECU issue, they said the car has been very quick, as you said, fast right out of the box when they got here. And some of it, even though it's a front-engine car with that short rear end on it and where that engine is mounted in the chassis, it's pretty well balanced.
It really is, and that's what you need around this racetrack, but the key is maintaining the balance over the long run here.
So that's the trick.
That is the trick. And it's not easy. I mean, with so many different series running here with the IndyCar, Indy Lights on different rubber, different track conditions this morning, you basically make your best guess.
Well, and last time by, Cooper's lead was 1.7 seconds. It looks like it may be just a bit more than that. And onto the front straight he comes once again. And that lead, boy, what a drive he is putting on, this young man. Heading down into turn 1. We'll see what the margin is. Then we're going to step away for just a minute here and take a look at the update. And impressive run by Michael Cooper as he leads over Parent in the McLaren. Teammate Johnny O'Connell in the third Cadillac, or the third place in the Cadillac. Monte Calvo over Fuentes, and a very competitive Joe Toussaint. That's great to see here. And Alec Udell leading Corey Ferguson, Sloan Urie in GT Cup. Wow, 2 seconds. While we're here with you on the global webcast, that margin took a little bit for timing to update, Cal, but it went from 1.7 to over 2, so Cooper is just set sail here.
Yeah, his fast laps 2 or 3 tenths clear of everyone else, and again, it's Parent and O'Connell are really his closest competitors in terms of lap times, and just like yesterday, everyone else is a good 6-7 tenths off those 3, so they are really making a statement here this weekend.
Just got word from race control that J.D. Davison and that Nissan getting a stern warning for contact with Adderley Fong in the Bentley.
Well, I mean, JD's just an aggressive driver. He goes for it, and he doesn't see anything wrong with that. And I think he's just getting the ire of certainly the stewards and the other competitors right now. So he's walking that fine line. I love his ability. I love his speed, and I love his commitment. But you've got to play a little bit nicer in certain situations. Certainly these race starts where you can make a lot of time, and that's what he's going for, particularly when he's back in the grid a little bit. But you can't afford to damage race cars.
Well, and I was just going to say, when you're racing race cars that are sturdy, that have big bumpers and the like, that little bit of a touch and nudge and everything, that's fun stuff. But when you've got very expensive, fragile, delicate aerodynamic devices, you've got to be a bit more mindful of that because it affects some problems. And there is a look at Sloan Urie, who is really starting to heap some pressure on Corey Fergus. We're going to pause for a sec. We'll be right back with our CBS Sports Network build. The beautiful blue GMG Porsche for Euro World Motorsports. Up and over the brow, Alec Udell going for his second straight win after dominating in round 6. Here, though, is the battle that's starting to shape up. And again, Corey Ferguson, that US LED Porsche, nice to see them running so well. But the story might just be Sloan Urie, who's the runaway points leader after a great start to the season. Had a little bit of an incident, Jeff told us about, with that longboard. And he's hurt his wrist, but he's gone kind of into an interesting approach to how to take care of that.
Yeah, his engineer actually contacted a local boxing rank, and they've got him a trainer. He's been here on site strapping his wrist to try and get him through this event. And the bigger problem here yesterday was the car was extremely loose. He thought something was maybe broken with the car. They tore it apart last night, did not find anything, so they've just gone with the slightly different setup today, and it looks to be more competitive. But I mean, Alec Udell is in a class of his own. He's about a 2 3/4 quicker than those two behind him. He's just been dominant here this weekend.
And here's a look at 33, J.D. Davison, the AER Now Replay XD Nissan, and he just got a very stern warning from race control about that contact with the gray 88 Bentley of Adderley Fong at the start.
Yeah, again, he got down to the inside, and there's a bit of a bottleneck there, as you would expect. And looking at the left side of Kyle Marcelli's Audi, who set a really quick lap time here yesterday, he's running in the 10th spot. He's had a little bit of contact somewhere along the line. You can see it there flared out on that left rear quarter panel.
Well, you talked about how close quarters it is with this big field at the start. And let's go back and take a look at that start, Cal, and just maybe analyze it a little bit more in depth.
Well, look at this. Brent looks to the inside, and Cooper suddenly runs him side by side through that corner. Look to the inside there. Adderley Fong has to go down to the apex. He's got Marcelli to his right, and that's probably where Marcelli's car got clipped. Palmer right in the mix there in the white and green Bentley as well.
I think Palmer may have been the one that tapped that quarter panel and knocked that piece loose. And now, as JD looks in the mirrors, he's got the teammate, Andrew Palmer, right on his 6th. Then Kyle Marcelli, who's been really, I think, impressive and not the newest of the cars on this track. In fact, one of the oldest of the GT3 homologated cars, but he's wringing its neck.
And behind him, Andrew Davis, who knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. He's one of the Porsche instructors here on this racetrack, so many, many miles here. And he just said the car's really good, but he said that top 10 is just super competitive. If you're just a tick off, this is where you're going to be running.
And Davison, currently, by the way, folks, that battle is for 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. That we're looking at right here, and add Ryan Eversley right in the mix. So it's a good 5-car scrap. Then your GTA leader, Frankie Montecalvo, continuing to keep Fogarty and Cindric and the 2 GT McLarens behind him. And that'll be frustrating. Martin Fuentes, who is watching that and seeing that fade out. But Montecalvo, now that they've got that car looks to be working solidly. He's flying.
He really is, and he's just on the rebound. I mean, he's so dominant in this class this year, being the GTA champion from 2015. It's been a difficult start to the year, changing of teams and some hits along the way, but Frankie's got a lot of talent. He's got a great team manager in Mark Showman, an engineer there, and the Dime Racing team, they're certainly trying to make an impression on this championship as well with Rod Shegum.
Yeah, they'd started the championship off, and they said they were having just this weird thing in the differential of the car that was making the car just evil, and they figured it out. They stayed after it. You could see it at St. Pete. They had it solved at Long Beach, but then, of course, it got into the incident there. So I'm sure Frankie is looking forward to just one smooth, fast run here at this point. Speaking of fast...
Yeah, Alvaro Perrin just laid down a 123.7, which was 4/10 quicker than Michael Cooper. So maybe it's a reverse of roles from yesterday, where Cooper's car came on a little bit stronger as the race wore on. Maybe Perrin has worked on his setup to do the same thing.
Yeah, that margin obviously has shortened up just a little bit. O'Connell's still there in third, and they have a little bit of a gap once again. As we saw yesterday, that top three, the two Cadillacs and Perrin, had drawn fairly well clear of the field, but boy, these two leaders right now, O'Connell is a lot farther back than he was at any point yesterday.
Yeah, he's a good 3/10 off the pace of the front running two, and then the two Porsches from Effort Racing run line astern, led by the youngster Michael Lewis and Pat Long in the 5th position. Hyde Cotter in the Nissan 6. Fong having a great run here. It's good to see him on form this weekend in the second of the Bentleys.
Yeah, absolutely. As Cooper comes through, completes another lap. Alvaro Perrin in pursuit. We're going to step away for just a moment, but we will be right back. It's Cooper in GT, Montecalvo in GTA, and Alec Udell in GT Cup. While we're in a pause for our CBS Sports coverage, rejoining you here on our global webcast. Welcome, everybody. I don't think I said that right off the top. We sure appreciate you joining us here, as well as everybody here at the track. And you get the feeling this one we're watching right here, Davison Palmer. This is going to be heating up here in just a bit, and it's going to be fun to see what happens. That damage clearly for Marcelli not doing too much to upset the car.
No, it's probably just a little bit of drag there as he's going down the straightaways, which are relatively short here at Barber. But certainly for the Nissan, I spoke to JD last night about kind of the extreme late turning and high line that he and both Hyde Cotter were using yesterday. He said, we just have to do that, mate, to try and get the power down on the exit. And if you think about the Bentley, historically, it really has good long run pace. So I think as this race wears on, I think Palmer may start to put more and more pressure on that Nissan.
Well, we were talking about the layout of the Mercedes, and even though it's front drive, how it is so well balanced. With the Nissan's got the big lump, the motor much farther forward, doesn't have much weight on the rear of the car, plus it's got that big, powerful turbo. So it can upset things. And he said, what is it, there's two, we called them low traction events, in particular at this track, that hurts them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key. If you sit around the racetrack, as obviously a lot of the fans are this morning, and you listen to those electronics kick in, you'll notice that the Nissan really has those TC systems working to a high degree through some of these low-speed corners.
There he is. There's that line you were talking about. He has to open it up to set into the corner a little bit more than the machines behind him. And there is that damage on the DeVilbiss machine, and it just looks like that side of that rear quarter panel popped loose.
Well, what you're doing is, by doing that late turning and late apex effectively, it allows you to straighten your hands a little bit sooner coming off the corner, and that allows you to get back to power without the rear end snapping on you. If you take a normal liney sandwich, it's got too much steering input at the exits, we're going to power, and it's just loosening up the rear end.
You just saw that's Mike Shiney with that great run to second in GTA yesterday, blowing a ton of grass, debris, leaves out of that car and the radiator, so he obviously had an off here. And by the way, talking to Fuentes, you remember earlier in the year, they had a real problem with some overheating at one of the races, and it was St. Pete where they were getting debris up in the radiators. They had that happen again to a degree, and it was an issue, and we're already seeing some of the stars starting to pack up just a little bit. By the way, Alec Udell, you just saw him right there continuing to stretch that margin.
He is literally in a different race.
He really is.
Look at this. I mean, it's like a different class here this weekend in terms of the pace and the gap that he now has in a very competitive GT Cup field.
Well, and we talked about it in the coverage of the sixth round, that company M Sport, that after the damage last year at St. Pete, they did such a great job. They went to them again after the less damage, but still significant, at St. Pete this year. And the team said, I don't know how they do it, but the car came back. It was almost better than it was new. and that's made a huge difference. And I think the confidence level now, he's got something that is really, really underneath him.
Well, he came here with the Porsche Young Driver Academy as well, where they did some testing here, so he learned the racetrack very well, got some good guidance from Pat Long as well, who he continues to really try and use as a mentor in a little bit of a way, both running Porsche, of course. So Pat's more than willing to do that. I love the fact that Pat Long is willing to help some of these youngsters in their initial years in the sport. But right now, this is a great little battle here between Corey Fergus and Sloan Ury for the second position.
Yeah, you're right. Pat's not just the only North American factory driver for Porsche. He's also one of the best ambassadors, I think, for everything he does here. And, well, I'll tell you, Ury just cannot figure out a way to get by Corey Fergus. And they've certainly now, it looks like, in that US LED team and Byers Porsche dealership car, been able to get their heads around. It was a big step up from the touring car Porsche they ran last year.
Well, I think they're just still struggling to really find the sweet spot. Whenever I'm over there always seems to be major setup changes going on with the car, because if the car's not working, you need to change it. But I think once they find that sweet spot, I don't think they'll be making such drastic changes each weekend, and I think they'll be a bit more consistent.
Michael Cooper continues to lead here at the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix, presented by Porsche. Although after stretching his margin out to a bit over 2 seconds, it has come down to 1.3, and that beautiful dark blue and yellow Capex McLaren in the hands of Alvaro Parent has trimmed that margin rather substantially, and Michael and the rest of that pack, Parent and O'Connell, are going to be getting into some traffic in short order.
Yeah, and certainly that's a factor for Michael Cooper, because he does not have the cushion of 2.5, 3 seconds that he had at one stage of this race. So I think Parent has certainly shown some form here in terms of the mid part of the race. He does have a slightly faster lap time in this race at 1:23.73. So Cooper's 1:23.76. It was just a few hundredths, but more importantly, he's not fading like he did a little bit yesterday in terms of the pace, even though he won the race.
And right here, he is going to get seriously hung up, I think, Cal. He's going to try a dive bomb move. Ury, that's a savvy move by Sloan Ury. Just open the wheel up and let him through. It didn't hurt Cooper too much.
Well, I think yesterday Sloan actually hurt the leaders a little bit in terms of being in the way. So I think they had a chat with that team last night, and certainly Sloan was aware that the leaders were coming through. But even so, it looks like may have helped it. Oh, 23 car turned around here, Walt Boland.
And that Audi just couldn't get around. Boy, right here now, Parent really getting bottled up.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of time. Advantage back to Cooper there. The delta will increase.
Down into the stop tech braking zone. Both of them able to get past the cars that they were behind. Now the question is, will Fergus open that wheel up just a little bit and let him come back through, Cal?
Well, he needs to. I mean, he should see him there, and I think he's just going to give him the lane. But that was tight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't disappear, and, and from the faster guys, you can't run over the top of these guys. You got to work well together, and you know, this is one of those racetracks. It's very flowing, so sometimes it's just literally impossible to get out of the way.
Now that they've cleared that traffic, although this battle is still a good one here for second in GT Cup, I want to remind everybody, if you're like us, huge fans of the series, and we know you are, you want to know what's going on, and there's an easy way to do it through social media. First place to go is Pirelli World Challenge site at world-challenge.com. Lots of information as well as great video content there and links to live webcasts if you can't get to the track. You can also go to Facebook. Just search the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page, or on Twitter, just look for the handle at WC Racing. And for all things racing, take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand. That includes archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races. You can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. And O'Connell gets through as well. How costly was that for him, Cal?
Well, I think he got a pretty clean run through there. He cleared both those cars pretty quickly, but there's been a change of position for the fourth spot. The two Effort Racing teammates have switched spots there. Pat Long now up to fourth, Michael Lewis demoted to fifth. Hardcotter continues for Nissan in sixth.
And Cindric able to get around Fogarty. We saw that order change up here as we're watching now Cooper coming up on the back of Alec Udell. And he got those headlights on and flashing. And just to let him know, we're coming through.
Well, Alvaro Parent is certainly not letting Michael Cooper take off here at the front of this field. He is keeping the pressure on. The balance on that McLaren looks really good. He said, I was really hanging on at the end of the race here yesterday. And that's a very smart engineering group there at K-Pax with the Flying Lizard team as well. And they will have tweaked on that McLaren last night to try and give him a better run here today.
Yeah, you can see as that race unfolded, got into that latter third, the back end of that McLaren got a little bit happy, and it was just a tremendous skill set by Parent behind the wheel, able to deal with that. And you can see Cooper going through on Udell, nice and clean, and Parent, it's going to hurt him just a little bit here. But, you know, Alec will just leave that open for him when he comes through and makes that move down, or will he? Well, that tells you about the straight line speed of those GT Cup cars. They don't have anywhere near as much aero, and they are able to really carry some serious pace down those straights.
They really do. They don't have a lot of downforce, which means they don't have a lot of drag. And we're also looking at the McLaren, which does struggle a little bit in the straightaway ranks as well.
And that's a very good point. So as Udell continues to lead in GT Cup, Monte Carlo has these covered in GTA. The battle, though, maybe hotting up in GT and overall. Cooper over Parent and O'Connell. We'll be right back to it. We're in a bit of a break here now for our CBS Sports coverage, but we're doing a little traffic as well for the show. But as you can see, things in that battle, the back of the order have shifted around just a little bit as Davison has slipped back just a notch. Marcelli through on Palmer, though, so that's a nice thing. In this battle, Heitkotter and Adderley Fong, it's the battle over 6, and they're really putting one on. And Yuri now down to the inside of Fergus, trying to get a run here. This is now down that front straight. It's all a matter of if you're going to pass into turn 1, you better be well clear. He couldn't do it.
He couldn't. Looks like Fergus maybe run a little bit less rear wing in that car, because he certainly had a little bit more acceleration down this front straightaway to basically gain a car length, which just took the pressure off. It's tough to make that move down into turn 1, because you're just sort of like tapping the brakes down a gear and you flow through there with a lot of mid-corner speed. It's not like a hard braking zone like we're heading into here with the stop-tech brake zone in turn 5.
Oh, and that huge battle with Davis and Marcelli, Palmer, everybody now coming up behind this battle for second in GT Cup. And you're talking about us getting into an area of the track, that turn 7-8 complex, pretty busy here. And, boy, Yuri is going to be gutted at this point. He closed up. He was so close. And now he's going to get parked a little bit as those GT cars come through.
Well, Marcelli's got around Palmer, so I didn't expect that. I thought Palmer would be putting the pressure on Davison for that position. So it's only a little bit more dramatic than it probably was. But he gets out of the way and clears the path. Palmer's got to be patient. Davis is going to get a run on him.
Got a great run. They can see now Palmer going to drive right down the middle of the track. That's okay. Ooh, however, big wiggle there. And
Eversley wants some of this.
He does. We have seen Eversley this year. He is absolutely superb in taking advantage of traffic.
Oh, look at that. He's working the outside. He's trying to get to that inside line for the upcoming corner. Can't quite get the power down to accelerate alongside Andrew. Great racing here, though.
Absolutely, and he's still got a pretty good run, Eversley did. And there's a look at Yuri, and now you can see he's just lost a ton of ground, because right now Palmer has not even been able to clear Fergus, which has helped J.D. Davison immensely.
It really has. And look at this, Austin Cindric, after he's cleared John Fogarty now, he's caught this pack, so he's got some pace here today.
Now, this is where Palmer's got to get it done. Easily clears him here. He is. Andrew Davis able to sneak down underneath. Talking about Andrew Davis, huge experience here. You know the Porsches are quick here, but this car is a new weapon to this team. Obviously, Calvert Dynamics, great help from Phoenix Performance and the like, but it's just a different type of car than they've really dealt with in the past. And Andrew said, we're so close, but in this field, as you alluded to, if you're a 10th off, that's 6 spots. It just ratchets that quickly.
Yeah, and it's early days. I mean, that group have just got this Porsche, and they're working well together. Joe Aquilani and the whole team there do such an excellent job. Andrew Aquilani as well as part of that mix now that he's not driving full-time. So they've got a great core group. Andrew's a brilliant driver, and they're going to go from strength to strength. But it's early in the season, and they are building their notebook. They don't have a notebook to work from like Effort Racing does.
That's a very good point. I mean, information is everything, isn't it?
It really is, and that's why the teams go from strength to strength. I mean, the Cadillacs come back this year with that car that they worked all the wrinkles out with last year. They won the championship, and they come back and they're strong every event. They're not learning the racetrack with a new piece. Brent now has closed this gap down. Last time across the stripe, it is right at the 1 second mark. So he is showing a little bit more pace than Michael Cooper right now. And if he can get a little bit closer and then they get traffic, you know he's going to go for it.
Well, the one thing we know about the McLaren, it's very effective aerodynamically and running early in the morning here where it's a lot cooler. Is that helping maybe that car a little bit more than the Cadillacs?
Well, certainly in the cooler area, you're going to have a bit more downforce working for you, but that works for all of the cars. So I think it's all about balance. I think they got the input and feedback from Alvaro last night, and they looked at the setup to make the car a bit stronger for these longer runs that we're seeing here today. No caution so far.
It was fun chatting with Darren Law from Flying Lizard and Capex yesterday after it, and he was comparing how Alvaro gets his speed versus how Esther used to get his speed. He said Esther worked so hard in that car, bounding off curve. He said wicked quick. He said Alvaro gets his speed. He's just so smooth and precise.
When he's in
there, though.
Yeah, he got in there too deep. That'll cost him a couple of tenths, I think, just pushing the envelope, and the car wouldn't give him the grip he was looking for on the entry to 2 there. But you're dead right. I mean, Kevin Estre was so much fun to watch. He literally grabbed that car by the scruff of the neck and wrung its neck every weekend. Alvaro is super smooth. He's a McLaren factory driver, as Kevin was last year before he made the move to Porsche. And they're both guys at the top of their game. So much fun to watch.
Well, even though he had that little bit of a moment, you suspected it would cost him something. It did, but he's made it back up in a hurry. So, boy, that 650S is looking awfully quick right now.
It is, and then you're going to see a traffic, and all it needs, I mean, if you just have to lift off through one of these high-speed corners, that's going to cut that deficit down to nothing. You see Cooper there really working that wheel. Looks like he may have a little bit of understeer through that high-speed section. And this is it. Look at Michael Cooper. He's got to set up and square him off. Alvaro's got the run through there.
He sure did.
Nice job by Michael Cooper. You could see there's no point in just driving right on the tail of that Audi. He had to wait, be patient, and make sure he could accelerate off.
And Walt doing a nice job of opening the wheel up, letting him through. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park and the Grand Prix presented by Porsche. The battle at the front, Cal, is on. Cooper is seeing nothing but the eyes of Alvaro Parent in his onboard video. And let's take a look here at how this worked at the start and how he got the lead, Cal.
Well, you see Parent there from the pole on the inside, but Cooper just hangs tough around the outside. And by the time they get to turn 2, he's got the lead, just like Parent did to him yesterday. And on board, you can see it was pretty hairy there, but Michael Cooper had the confidence to make the move stick.
Yeah, looking on board, obviously, it's going to be really fun to watch that one as well as he makes that pass stick and takes off. But now he's not taking off anymore. It is Parent who has taken off and closed that margin right up. And we're talking a car length at best.
Oh, this is a great battle between two of the best in the business. I mean, we expected it to be Johnny O'Connell that Parent was going to be going hard at throughout the first half of the season, at least before Michael Cooper found his feet. But he is a quick learner.
And you know what he did at Long Beach, even though he ended up getting caught in that fluid and having that off. I mean, he had fast lap. He was absolutely flying, came from dead last up into 4th. I think that race probably did huge things for his confidence, knowing I could race with these guys, I could pass these guys.
Well, he's got a great car this year. Cadillac have come out of the box so strong this year, and they really work hard on their electronics package. But for Michael Cooper, I spoke to J.D. Davison last night about Long Beach. He said, man, Cooper came up on me. He said, I'm going through a particular corner, fighting him, thinking maybe I can hold the inside. And he said, what the heck, man? You're so much quicker than me. Just go.
That's impressive stuff, no question about it, from a guy making his debut season in this type of equipment and leading right now, and did it from the front row here at Barber and has led the entire race. But it's getting a little bit more fraught for him at this point. By the way, O'Connell, folks, now about 4.5 seconds. Last time through, about 4.5 seconds back of Parent at this stage. Going back to this battle, second in GT Cup. And Yuri, boy, he's doing everything he can, trying to figure out a way through.
Yeah, I think he may have a little bit more lap time in that car if he could just clear Corey Fergus. But Corey's doing a beautiful job here, and great to see him rebound so strongly. A massive crash at St. Petersburg. A lot of work had to be done, basically retub that 0-0 machine. And Corey is showing great pace here this weekend.
Fuentes now under attack at this stage, feeling the heat from Peter Cunningham. And at least now for Martini, only has Fogarty between himself and GTA leader Frankie Montecalvo. The problem is they're up the road a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie's taken off there. And I just felt this weekend that Martin was a little bit vulnerable in terms of the pace that he was getting out of that Ferrari. And is certainly showing here as Frankie now he's having a good clean run. Fingers crossed for him. It's been a problematic season. He just needs a good clean run and maybe get his first checkered flag of the season.
Yeah, Frankie said, I really want to earn my way up into this GT category outright here. And he has certainly shown the pace here of being able to do just that. I mean, his fast lap of 1:24.6, and that's better than a few of the cars up in the GT ranks.
Yeah, and Rod Chegham's hoping to have one of the new Mercedes possibly as early as the next round of the championship at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Talking maybe 2 new chassis before the end of the season. So this is a team that would like to expand. Dime Racing we're talking about.
Yeah, now Cooper up and over the brow, and there is Preston Calvert currently running 4th in GT Cup. And they're going to get to Preston here right as they get into that turn 7-8 complex. And is this where Parent might lay back a little bit, try and get the run? That looks like Cooper's doing the same thing, isn't he?
Yeah,
did he read that beautifully?
Yeah, beautiful job there. And the problem is with this high-speed chicane there, you're not slowing down enough. Even if you kind of get halfway alongside, it's not going to work unless someone just absolutely gives it to you. So that is one of the, it's a beautiful racetrack to drive, but one of the problems with Barber is it is tough to pass.
Challenging to pass, and surprisingly, you think it's billiard table smooth, as we've talked about, a little tough on tires.
It is. I mean, as the race wears on, certainly the tires are going to take a pounding, and particularly on this long green flag run here, we've only got 17 minutes to go with this 50-minute event, so certainly time is winding down quickly.
Boy, it is. It's just flying by at this stage, and that happens. Don't want to jinx it, but they've got an all-clean green run thus far. We're getting down into that. Boy, that's a great complex.
Yeah, watch the different line here, though. Alvaro tends to go a little bit higher there, not maybe as extreme as he did on the previous lap, but he really has to set up the exit. I spoke to Michael Cooper yesterday. He said, yeah, he runs a really high, wide line there. And yesterday it seemed like in this particular section of the racetrack, Alvaro Parent had an advantage, but it seems pretty even here today. Oh, deep on the brakes. Parent took it in really deep there. He has closed that gap. He is putting the pressure on Michael Cooper for the lead.
Yep, the battle is on. We're going to step away just for a minute here. Will we? Yes, we will step away just for a minute here. We will be right back. But this is getting fierce. Stay with us. All right, with you here on the global webcast, and I tell you, I don't know whether that was that line he uses able to give him that extra speed, or whether that thing is just right now so dynamite on the brakes as he drops his tires. He is pushing hard.
He is pushing hard, and I think he's going to need traffic to make the move, Greg, unless he gets super aggressive. And I think with the position that he's in the championship right now is really tight. He's in second position, just a handful of points behind Johnny O'Connell. He doesn't want to throw it all away. He's beating O'Connell on the day, and I think that's what's everyone's mantra when you're chasing down a guy who's gone 4 championships in a row. Where is O'Connell? Am I ahead of him? Am I gaining points on the day?
Well, and Alvaro yesterday, after that 6th round, was talking about the fact, he said there were spots on the track where I was quicker, but there were spots where they were quicker. And again, we're seeing that it sort of accordions a little bit. You get into that one area, and he's all over the back of Cooper. They get into another spot, and he just starts to lose a bit of ground.
Parent's car seemed to be sliding there a little bit, coming off turn 2. It was almost like a 4-wheel drift there. So I think the balance is there, but just the overall grip factor has gone down a little bit. And we saw that yesterday at a similar stage.
That was a little bit of a flat slide, wasn't it, here? And Cooper's car thus far, I haven't seen really any indication of it stepping out. Here we go, J.D. Davison continuing to feel the heat, still in 8th spot, but he's got Marcelli has run him down, and Palmer's still there. But boy, Kyle Marcelli has been impressive this year.
He really has, and he won here back in 2014 in a great battle with Anthony Lazzaro, who was driving a Ferrari that year, and Andrew Palmer was in an Audi, very similar to the one that he's looking at right now in front of him. Great to see Kyle Marcelli having a strong run with the CRP team. Nick Short and Kyle worked really, really hard, and they recognize this isn't the latest iteration from Audi, and if they could get the funding together to maybe get one of the new cars, would that put them in a more competitive position?
We just got an update from Jeff Lepper down in pit lane that they said that Parent's car, he's talking to the Capex crew, they said they set it up hoping they'd get a long green run, and that's what they've received so far. And apparently Jeff asked him about, well, what's he saying? They said nothing. He's just focused. He knows he's in a scrap.
Further back, I see Pat Long is really starting to make the inroads to Johnny O'Connell. He's cut the gap there to about 1.5 seconds between the 3rd and 4th position runners right now. So Pat Long, having cleared his teammate, looks like he's got a bit more pace in that Porsche today. Probably helped by the fact he's probably got a full rear diffuser on the car.
Yeah. We're going to come back to our CBS Sports coverage. Welcome back, everybody, and Parent is in full attack mode here at the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix presented by Porsche. He lost a little bit of ground while we were in break. He gathered it up again, Cal, and got right to the rear deck of Cooper, but then Cooper now gaps him by about 2 lengths.
Well, the other problem you have through this high-speed section, Greg, you're going to get a little bit of aero wash. It's going to take the downforce off the front of that McLaren. That's enabled Michael Cooper to stretch it back out to about 2 to 3 car lengths, but Alvaro Parent is not going away. He's flat-sliding that car around this racetrack, wringing its neck. This is a great battle.
And, of course, Cooper able to get into the lead, Cal, with a great start.
Yeah, from the outside of the front row. Sometimes if you can just hang tough through that apex of turn 1, it gives you the inside line for turn 2. And as we go on board, you can see it was very close. They're almost 2 wheels in the dirt, but he makes the move stick, and that's what's giving him the position right now, the lead of this motor race.
And he gets that little bit of a margin back, and then Parent gets to the part of the track where that McLaren is looking so strong.
Watch the brake zone
right
here, though. He really
yeah.
buries it here. They're using ABS, of course, to get in this deep.
And had an update from Jeff down in pit lane that the Capex team told him they have set that car up for a long green run, and he certainly seems to be getting quicker as this race unfolds here. And he's saying nothing to the crew. Total focus.
Well, Steve Cole said that Michael Cooper's super smooth, even comparing to Johnny O'Connell. He said he uses about 40% of the TC that's available compared to Johnny O'Connell, but I think with the heat he's feeling from behind, he's going to be leaning on that gas pedal and hoping those electronics kick in.
So a little clump of dirt down there on one of the edge of the splitters.
That's sacrilege.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Shouldn't be tearing this place up. It's so beautiful.
I thought you were talking about how great the car is, but yeah, you're right. This track is something special indeed. Davis, big lunge on Palmer and the Bentley, but Davis in that black and yellow Porsche couldn't quite sneak through.
Davison again giving it 1,000,000%, hanging on here for dear life.
Boy, hanging on is right. We've got to look at something here, Cal, and watch this. This is some pretty fierce stuff that this battle has been putting on.
Oh, look at that, Marcelli down to the inside. Aggressive move gives Davison a little nudge, but Davison just stays in the gas.
Boy, is that karma?
And look at Palmer. He gets a run there. They're 3 abreast there down the front straightaway. And Andrew Davis is getting a huge draft, a huge tow there, but he can't do anything with it.
Oh, spectacular stuff. And getting a word that now the 33 of J.D. Davison, he's getting a warning for blocking as well. So this has been a tough weekend for J.D., although certainly quick.
Well, it's hard. He'll be frustrated because he's fighting for tooth and nail for every position, and he's got someone up above kind of giving him guidelines of how he can race, but he's got to keep it clean. I mean, he's on the radar right now in terms of a little bit of contact that he's had early in the season.
And once again, Parent right there on the back of Cooper at this point, but right through there, he just loses it, doesn't he?
I think he used a bit more of the curb than he would like, and he had to get out of the throttle a little bit. That cost him half a car length.
By the way, just want to give a shout out. We're going to keep watching this battle, of course, but Monte Calvo with that big lead in GTA went to his second, but Drew Riggett's right now in the iRacer coaching, Riggett's Racing and Steve Cameron Racing, Audi maybe going for a second consecutive podium in GTA. Shine had that issue, and Joe Toussaint looking at a second straight top 5. Great for those guys.
Looks like O'Connell has kept that gap constant at about 1.5 seconds back to Pat Long. So looks like our championship leader may be on for another podium run here today.
Ooh, is that our first little wiggle I saw from Cooper?
He's pushing hard. He realizes that Brent is very strong down in our stop-take brake zone. He wants to try and increase the margin there as he gets to the brake pedal.
And time is starting to run out just a little bit. 10 minutes to go.
Watch out. And Cindric's around.
Austin, that was from 13th.
Didn't see anyone else involved. That's coming through turn 14, 15 towards the front straightaway.
Fortunately able to keep it alive and get the gear. Quick look at it. See what happened, Cal?
Oh, well, there was someone involved in terms of he was going for it down to the inside of Eversley. at the end of the spin. I didn't see any other cars there in terms of turning him, but certainly he saw the door open a little bit. But that's a tough one. You really flow and carry a lot of mid-corner speed there, and I think Ryan had every right to turn down. Maybe could have given him a little bit of racing room.
Boy, did you see all the carbon brake dust come out of the car while he was sliding sideways?
Well, I think the trend continues. Austin Cindric goes another race where he's had someone get into him.
Yeah. I guess somebody has to take Cindric somewhere to make it an official Pro World Challenge GT weekend the way it's unfolding here. Well, there you go. Parent now. That margin back up to last time through was about 0.7 of a second. And it's going to be about that similar margin now. They're going to be approaching some traffic. Yeah, looks like Johnny's coming, isn't it?
He does, yeah. It looks like the leaders have dropped their pace by 3 or 4 tenths, and Johnny O'Connell's pace has stayed consistent. He's closer.
Well, and they're going to be coming up on some traffic, so we're going to step away real quick. We'll be right back and bring this exciting finish to you here at Barber Motorsports Park. All right, back with you here on our global web feed. And this is going to be interesting in that, boy, such is the pace. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, it looked like these GT cars were lapping these two cars and coming through on them again now.
Yeah, and this is going to be critical here for Michael Cooper. Sloan Uri, has he seen the leader? Yes, he does. And now Parent, he's got to wait and be patient. So, again, advantage Michael Cooper. He's going to clear Fergus as well. This is going to increase his lead over Alvaro Parent. He gets a much better run through traffic.
Well, he used traffic pretty well in round 6, Cooper did. Pretty good racecraft from this young man.
Parent's going to have to try and tuck it to the inside. He's got to clear Fergus. He does so. But the gap has increased at the front between the two leaders. And O'Connell's very much in the picture there. Good, strong run for Patrick Long here in the 4th spot.
O'Connell just dropping his right side tires, trying to carry every bit of speed to clear these two GT Cup machines, and he gets Uri. Ooh, but he's wide there.
Yeah, definitely carried a lot of speed in there through turn 1. Ran a little bit wide, but totally in control. Pat Long there very much in the picture. And O'Connell will not want to give up that podium spot, that podium run.
Interesting. Johnny's won the last 4 GT championships. The one before that went to Long. So the last 5 championship winners are right here battling it out for the 3rd spot.
And I think this is what we thought the championship picture would be for this season. And Pat Long got off to a brilliant start at Coda and then got turned at the start and into the fence. And suddenly he's got a big hole in the points he's trying to climb his way out of.
There's a look at Johnny O, and Pat still trapped behind the fellow Porsche, although a different class. Now gets down underneath Corey Fergus. Fergus trying to get a little bit of a draft off of Pat to give him some sort of breathing room to Uri.
Long's car looks really good through there. Really settled, great balance.
Yeah, working arrow.
Yeah, and once you get that clean air on that Porsche, and they're still finding their way with this car. I mean, Pat said in practice and qualifying, still a bit too much understeer in the high-speed stuff. One thing they've really got to get on top of, he said, into the brake zones, we get a lot of weight transfer to the front end. That's really unsettling the rear. We've got to get that better. They're not going to be more competitive this season.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park at the Grand Prix. There is your race leader, Michael Cooper, who Cal has seemed to have found a little bit of an answer to the attack that Parent put on. He's opened it up by maybe 2 more car lengths. I mean, that's about as much of an answer as you get at this level.
It's really tight, and you can see Parent using a little bit of finesse there through turn 2. He was really just trying to maintain the balance in the car and still get a good exit off of there. So he's working at, he's trying everything, every trick in his book in trying to get that gap reduced and maybe find some traffic that will open up an opportunity to grab the lead in the late going.
I think some of the traffic that Cooper and Parent have run into have slowed them up a bit, because look behind them. Johnny Red in the red Cadillac and Pat Long in the Effort Porsche, they are closing.
They really are. They've been taking about 3 or 4 tenths out of the lead over this last 6 or 7 laps. So they've got pace. They've got the long run capability in their 2 cars.
Great variety here. One of the things we love about this, a Cadillac, a McLaren, a Cadillac, a Porsche, Nissans, Bentleys. It goes on, and this is just some fascinating stuff to watch. These 2 different platforms, the Cadillac front engine, the McLaren mid-engine, the Porsche far rear engine, and all in play here for a podium at Barber Motorsports Park in the Grand Prix presented by Porsche. And this is where we've watched Alvaro use that wide approach line to get great speed here. And it looks like he may have done it again.
He does. He's a little bit closer. Is he close enough to have a look to the inside, then under a stop-tech brake zone? Really putting the pressure on Michael Cooper. Again, Cooper has not won yet in GT competition. Can he hang on for the win?
Well, I'll tell you what a story it would be if he can in front of a McLaren factory driver. Perret, I think that was just see if he could rattle him a little bit.
Yeah, just see if he can help him miss his marks a little bit. He wasn't going to accelerate that Cadillac down towards that corner, but he is probing. He is looking for a way through.
I mean, where he certainly would, that's why it's the stop-tech brake zone, would be down into 5, but he's got to be a bit closer than he has been able to get.
A little bit closer, yeah, and it's going to be a risky move because Cooper's really strong on the brakes as well. And that's what makes it so enticing there. But when you go downhill and you suddenly start to have to turn that wheel, you can, even with the ABS, it's really easy to get a little bit squirrely there on the entry.
Meanwhile, there is Frankie Montecalvo in that Dime Racing Mercedes.
Is he off
He's
the pace?
in trouble.
He is trouble.
Something sounding rough in that engine, Cal.
Boy, oh boy, what a season for Frankie Montecalvo. For all of the success last year, things just don't seem to go his way. And he's going to have to look in his rearview mirrors here. Here comes Martin Fuentes. How big a problem is on that Mercedes? Will the lead in GTA change here in the last couple of laps?
Well, Montecalvo's last lap was a 1:30.5. Fuentes at 27.2. So to the tune of 3 seconds, and the margin's about 12, it looks like.
That's right, so it's going to be awfully close. Boy, oh boy. They had an ECU issue yesterday.
Oh, Fergus from second into the gravel, Cal.
He's going to be stuck, I think.
Let's see if we can, there was a fierce battle unfolding here. What happened? Uphill, oh.
Because Boland got into him.
Tapped by Boland.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It was a nice clean run for Corey Fergus here. Joe Tassano's around as well.
He had just gone by Montecalvo, although a lap down, but had that off. It's going to be interesting to see what the stewards have to do with Fergus beached over there. There's Udell right in the middle, still leading in GT Cup, lead in the middle of a sandwich of our 2 GT leaders. Parent slices through.
He is just really trying to find a couple of tenths in his race car somehow, somewhere.
Well,
look, O'Connell is so close there. Long goes through as well. It is really tightening up for those podium positions.
Well, and you see Udell give a lot of room to the number 31 along. You know, you want him to help you in coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
You treat him right on that track.
Going to be 2 more laps to go, I believe. They're going to hopefully let these guys run just under a local yellow there in that particular corner. Brent has to be careful, even if it's lap traffic. He can't make that pass.
Boy, and that was offline for Parent. That cost him some time, not just to Cooper, but that now. Watch O'Connell, he's going to pop into the frame here. That's as close as we've seen. And the stewards are saying white flag. Next time by, we'll go green to the finish.
Look at this, Johnny O'Connell. So savvy, so much poise as a 4-time champ. He has closed the gap on Alvaro Parent, and this could really help Michael Cooper. Parent suddenly looking in his rearview mirror at what is O'Connell doing. That may enable Cooper to get that first victory.
And Johnny understands the factory end of things, too, and how important finishes are and double podiums are for the manufacturer. He had one of the best wingmen in the business in Andy Pilgrim the last number of years. He understands how you play this game.
Well, I think he was hoping that Cooper would be another wingman, but right now he's a fierce contender for the championship.
So nice job there by Toussaint letting those through, but Parent got a tremendous run, Cal.
He's right there. He is really, really close here. He needs to try and square up this exit to this corner. He looks to the inside. That's not going to work. You're going to watch that you don't compromise your speed too much. Here comes O'Connell.
White flag, 1 to go here in round 7, and the battle is on and more traffic ahead. O'Connell took that little bit of a look there.
Who would have believed this? 10, 15 laps ago, O'Connell wasn't even in the frame, and right now he's all over the back of that McLaren. He wants more than a podium.
Down through the bottom, 3, and now 4. Heading into the stop-tech braking zone for the last time. I don't think anybody's quite close enough.
Cooper has not put a foot wrong here today. Beautiful start. Oh, look at O'Connell, though. He is really putting the heat on Parent.
By the way, just to let you know, folks, Fuentes has now been able to get around and has taken the lead back in GTA. That would be a 7th straight win if it stays like this, but all eyes on the front here 3 cars covered by the blanket, and Pat Long just about a pillow's length away.
Johnny O'Connell came into this round of the championship with the lead, but is by a mere 13 points over the guy who's right in front of him. Alvaro Parent is going to be awfully tight tonight unless he can make a move on him.
And he's running out of time to do it, about halfway through the lap now. You can hear that traction control. These guys are pushing Cal for absolutely everything they can.
O'Connell's going to look through the final couple of turns, but Cooper looks safe.
Cooper looks safe. Parent, unless he makes a little mistake, not prone to do that, onto the front straight. Michael Cooper gets his first win as a GT driver in the Cadillac. Parent, another top 2 finish. Johnny O'Connell sits in third, Long close in fourth, then a big margin back to Michael Lewis in fifth. And there is Alec Udell coming through and taking his second consecutive win, third on the season in GT Cup of the Euro World Motorsports Global Motorsports Group. Porsche and Fuentes will get the win, his 7th in GTA. Boy, I'll tell you, even when things aren't going great for him in terms of pace, as you look at him in that Hublot Ferrari, he gets the luck.
It's just unbelievable, and Frankie Montecalvo has 0 luck this year. It was a great performance by he and that whole group to come back from the damage at Long Beach, but Fuentes has got to finish this lap off. The leaders have taken the checkered flag, but he's got to get it home.
That he does, and that, I think, is Drew Riggins right behind him, so maybe this isn't settled yet at this stage. Fuentes just has to hit his marks.
What a drive by Drew Riggins here this weekend. Congratulations to he and Steve Cameron Racing and the performance here this weekend. This is a big step up for that group.
One more corner coming up. Fuentes a little wide there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's having problems with that corner.
And he comes through and he does it. It's close, Cal. Yesterday's margin was 1.8 seconds, 0.9 this time, or 0.18 seconds. So very, very close in deal. And there, look at the dejection. There is Frankie Montecalvo. He had the car, he had the package today. Not to happen.
That's a shame, but this is a great group. They will rebound, and they will get victories here this year for sure. But the championship is getting more and more out of reach.
Boy, and Fuentes wiping a little sweat off the brow, I think, with a whew on that one to be able to bring it home. Michael Cooper, what a run. And when we come back, we'll hear from our first-time GT winner. Stay with us. And with that, folks, as we take a break for our CBS Sports coverage, we're going to wrap things up here on our global webcast. Thank you so much for joining us. What an amazing run for Michael Cooper, and you were able to watch it here. We sure appreciate you tuning in. A great battle at the front, no question about it. And remember, the next round of the championships here that we'll be bringing you on our global webcast will be coming in a few weeks from another glorious and maybe one of the fastest speed rings you're going to find, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Canada. So make sure and join us there in a few weeks. Thanks for tuning in to our global webcast, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.